You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth is he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. I feel it, you feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup celebrating nearly 50 years of Doctor Who universe. Hold tight. You never know where the TARDIS is going next.
Blossom, yes, Blossom. That's the only sad thing. I want to know what happens next. Right then. Doctor whoever I'm about to be. Tag. You're it.
I know these teeth. What? What?
Hey there, listeners, and welcome to another episode of the Earth Station Who podcast. That's right, folks. We are back, and we have survived the regeneration episode. We survived technical issues between Facebook and StreamYard. We survived just everything, and we're here to keep on moving on now because from what everyone's saying, we are not going to have new Doctor Who for 12 months.
No.
So we got a lot to fill in. And thank you guys for sticking with us. We so appreciate it. It's a new era of Doctor Who. It's a new era of Earth Station Who. That's right, folks. We're back and we're dedicated to bring you some amazing stuff over the next year and beyond. It should be a ton of fun. And we got a great episode to talk about. We figured the holidays are right upon us, and we've never really reviewed a lot of the different holiday specials that they did in the old run of New Who. So we are starting with, get ready for this, The Runaway Bride. That's right, the episode that introduced us to Donna. That's right, Donna Noble. And it is interesting because to me, she was the most hated companion of Doctor Who at this point. And when I first saw it, it was just like, oh, I can't stand her. Oh, I hope I never see her again. Boy, did we end up with egg on our face on this one, folks. We do it,
That's
I think the two times we did was with Donna and then with Nardo. I definitely think.
But, I'm glad it worked out that way. Because, better it'd be better than we thought it was going to be.
Well, it's interesting, too. And, we'll get into this in a few minutes, but this is right after the Doctor and Rose era. So he is majorly, in mourning in this episode. So it's going to be very interesting to hear what you guys at home think and what my co-hosts think. Of course, let's say hey to them. Of course, Mr. Mike Gordon is here.
Howdy.
And of course, Ms. Mary Ogle.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here.
It's always fun just talking between the three of us. We love having guests and everything on the show, but I love just when it's the three of us because it gives us time just to rib each other and also, find out what we, what we thought about these episodes and everything. And I think it's just a ton of fun that way. And it's just great being with you guys. And hopefully everything is going well with everybody at home. And we definitely would love to hear from you guys. Feedback at earthstationwho.com. Let us know what you guys thought of Jodie's regeneration or all the news that's been coming out afterwards. Or, how are you guys going to handle the 12-month hiatus? No more New Who until then, unless RTD is lying to us.
You can't trust him.
Nope.
The doctor lies.
And so does RTD.
That's very true. They did say there's going to be 3 specials.
Yes, they've confirmed that.
They have confirmed that. So we might as well jump in with Doctor Who news real quick. That's the first thing, was that they did confirm after the 13th Doctor regenerated into Doctor 14, question mark. And, they are calling David Tennant the 14th Doctor. So it's interesting.
Now, anyway.
Well, of course. And they're saying Judy is Dr. 15. And I think there's a little bit more to it. And I have my theories, and we'll talk about that. And, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how they ended it. The ratings were very good for the special, which is really nice to hear. And, you had the naysayers who put out the initial ones, but after, the streaming and all the other stuff, the show did very, very well, especially in the UK, but also in the US, it did really, really well. So BBC America was, doing high fives because of it. And, it was sad to see Jodie gone. And like we said at the end of the episode, I think it was one of my favorite New Who regenerations. And I just had a ton of fun with it. And, I've actually watched it twice, and I do wish I had a camera on Judy, because we watched it a couple days after we did the recording. And I wish I could have had a video camera on her when she saw David Tennant pop up, because she did not know. And literally she said, what? And literally awesome. he was doing it at the same time almost. And she was like, Mike, what's going on? What's going on? And it was, the reaction was awesome. And I'm sure a lot of people had that kind of reaction, which is pretty cool and everything. And so it was neat. And after watching it even the second or third time, it still puts a smile on my face. And not because it's David Tennant. Yeah, I'm thrilled it's David Tennant. But I'm just like curious about the regeneration and what it's going to do. But I thought how, Jodie did tag you're it, I loved that and everything.
Yeah, awesome. They did a good job on that last scene. I wonder if RTD actually wrote that entire last scene, because it felt much more like him than Chibnall. I don't know though, but just the dialogue and the way it was handled, and I think we've confirmed that. I think Rachel Talalay actually directed the regeneration scene. But anyway,
yeah, I think so.
It was very well done.
It's interesting, and we got a lot of questions, and we were actually just talking about this right before we came on the air. I haven't seen the next on Doctor Who, trailer. I know it's up on YouTube, but I didn't even know it existed. I had to ask Mike and Mary about it, because I watch, since I stream now, I don't watch shows live, so I got to watch it on demand on the on what is it, AMC Plus. And so I was able to see it that way, but they didn't have the trailer at the end of the streaming. And so it was just interesting. So I'll have to catch it and see what they have. And
I don't remember them having it on BBC America either. I watched it on YouTube.
Oh, no, they did. They did have it on BBC America.
Gotcha. With a commercial in between it? No.
Yes, with about 50 commercials in between it.
Of course.
But it works. It's a good trailer. It definitely makes you excited for what's coming.
Well, that actually leads into my next news story that broke after we recorded last time, is we won't be seeing Doctor Who on BBC America much longer.
Nope. Not New Who anyway.
Nope. We're going to actually be seeing the Doctor with Mickey ears so very soon.
Are they required to wear Mickey ears the entire time?
I don't think the name Mickey and Doctor Who go well together anymore. So.
It's bad memories. Too soon.
Too soon. And, you don't want the doctor calling him, the mouse Mickey the idiot, so it might not be a good point. And yes, folks, of course, if you have been living in a box or something, and I don't mean a blue box, basically Disney Plus is going to be the new home for Doctor Who. And Disney actually has purchased a substantial portion of the production of Doctor Who.
Yeah, that was interesting. At first, everyone thought they just had a distribution deal, but then it came out that they were actually going to contribute production money.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, which
so
it's going to be interesting to see how that changes things because, with a bigger budget.
Well, let me ask you guys this, because I knew they had announced after they announced that RTD was taking over and Bad Wolf Productions was, going to be the new producers of Doctor Who, that Sony had invested into Bad Wolf. Have you guys heard, is Disney just exclusively Doctor Who, or is it into Bad Wolf also?
Yeah, I have not
I'm sure
heard
it's
about
all
them.
three.
Yeah, I haven't heard specifically about them investing in Bad Wolf.
Oh yeah, that I don't know. I mean, I think, yeah, it's a deal between the three of them. And I think BBC is still involved too. So you've got BBC, Sony, Bad Wolf, and Disney all mixed in.
I mean, they have said that RTD has creative control.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll see.
Quote, unquote.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, we'll see how that pans out.
I mean, everything these days is almost everything these days is made by committee. So I think Doctor Who has been as well. I mean, it just hasn't been as big of a committee as this. So, I think, it's weird. I mean, we're going to talk about the Runaway Bride in a little bit, but it was interesting at the end of it to see that it was a BBC and Canadian production. Like it was BBC Wales and BBC Canada that produced it, and I was like, wow, that's a long time ago where it was just those two. Like,
oh yeah. Well,
that won't be happening anymore.
I think that was all the way through Russell T's era.
I think so,
when Canada, BBC Canada was involved, because that's actually how I saw New Who at first. Was I had friends of mine in Seattle, and they were able to copy off the TV. They were able to get
they got the Canadian channels
because Seattle's so close to the Canadian border. We got CBC on, and that's what Doctor Who was broadcast on at first, the first two seasons, and it was pretty amazing. So that's how I saw Eccleston and Tennant's first season. At first, was through my friends, because I didn't want to wait till they came out on DVD, or that they came out on BBC. Well, no, it was even Sci-Fi. It was Sci-Fi at the time. It wasn't even BBC America that Doctor Who was being shown on here in the States. And
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it was at least a year behind.
I think it's amazing to me that, it was, like I said, it was BBC Wales and CBC and a joint production. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's pretty sizable. But now we're talking about really big players. Sony, Disney, BBC. Bad Wolf is holding it all together. But, I mean, those are three major, players in the entertainment world. And, so I think it means big things for Doctor Who going forward. All the threats and speculation that it was going to be canceled, or that, it wasn't doing well, or it was going to go away for a while again, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it is not the case at all. Instead, it's on the brink of probably getting bigger than it has ever been.
I mean, RTD has been trying to do an expanded universe almost from the beginning since he brought it back.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure that that was a big motivator for him in trying to get all these people together, because, with all those deep pockets and all this money that the BBC alone just doesn't have, it really gives him, a lot more, a way forward to really branch out into other universes, sort of like the MCU has done.
No, very true. Very, very true. So here's the big question then. Now that Disney has a portion of Doctor Who, does that make Captain Jack a Disney princess?
Absolutely.
Well, he's certainly the most likely candidate for Disney princess.
I mean, if he's allowed to be on the show anymore.
He's not child friendly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. God, no.
I mean, I definitely think that. Oh, that's the other thing. I mean, Disney, at least in this country, in the United States, has that plan as the option for, where you have to like put in a code or whatever, a permission if you want more adult material. And so is Doctor Who going to be in that adult material level, or is it going to be included for everybody to see? And that alone could have some impact and influence on the content that we're getting from Doctor Who going forward.
It's a good question, actually, Mike. It is a really good question.
That is a good question. I wonder how far they'll go.
I think Russell T wants to push it. Obviously, I think, he's Russell T, right? He wants to push things as far as content goes, and as far as what we're going to see, obviously, with the Doctor and the Companion of next season already announced. It's kind of like, that's going to be programming that I hope is going to be available to everybody. And then, shows like Torchwood and whatnot will be probably relegated to the adult only, just like the MCU shows that were formerly on Netflix that are now available on Disney Plus, like Jessica Jones and
Daredevil,
Luke Cage,
Punisher,
and all of those.
Yeah.
Those are part of the MCU. Well, they're not really now, but they're kind of, who knows, right? But anyway, but they're more adult in nature, and you have to get past that permission wall in order to watch those. So I'm guessing that some Doctor Who material that's already available, and we don't know that Torchwood is included in this deal. I would imagine so, but we don't know that for sure. Same thing with Sarah Jane Adventures and all the other stuff as well. We don't even know if Classic Who is included in this package.
No, it would be very interesting to see if Classic Who also came over with this. Would be amazing. The other thing someone actually brought up, now that, Disney has a portion of it, Disney also owns Fox, and that equals the Eighth Doctor and such, because you were not able to use some of the characters from the Eighth Doctor story because Fox still owned the rights to it. Mm-hmm. Does that release, the characters of Grace and the other companions, and even the Eric Roberts Master?
Yeah, some things shouldn't be released, but yeah.
No. But
it should make things easier, but all that stuff is legal stuff, and who knows? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting going forward, that's for sure.
I think we'll do an open discussion with that in the new year. I think it would be great to do a live episode talking about the implications for Disney, because we're just scratching the surface, folks, and everything. Well, the other good news, though, is also we did get a new Doctor Who logo shown.
Woo-hoo.
A new old logo, I should say.
Yeah, it's nice. I like the new/old logo.
Mm-hmm.
Better than the last one.
It gave me a lot of warm and fuzzies.
Yeah, it
really did.
I'll also be really happy to have new credits, because I hate those toilet bowl credits that Chibnall came up with. They drove me insane.
That would be very interesting to do. I just, I'm hoping they're going to get Murray back. I really love to see if they would get Murray back.
That was one of the things, segueing into the Runaway Bride, one of the things I noticed right away, the music and the pacing and just that whole retro feel I've really been missing.
Mm-hmm. It'll be very interesting too if, and this is just talking off the top of my head, since we have Tennant back and there's something mysterious going on with it because his clothes changed back. His clothes changed in the regeneration, which isn't normal, but there's no such thing as a normal regeneration anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, the whole thing is not normal.
Right.
Right. But if something is going on with the Celestial Toy Maker and such, wouldn't it be kind of interesting if that also changed the interior of the TARDIS back to Tennant's TARDIS?
Yeah, that would be interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the TARDIS looks like in the new episodes.
Because I've already heard they've dismantled that.
Oh, yeah, they dismantled it almost right away. So, yeah. I mean, of course, they want to come up with their own look and feel.
So, although I will say that, watching Runaway Bride, I was reminded of, obviously, Hen's TARDIS. And although I liked it at the time, I don't know if it's really aged well as far as I'm concerned. I'm like, I don't know if I'd really want to go back to that.
No, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. We definitely will. So that's the big Doctor Who news that we wanted to talk to you guys about. Was there anything else anyone else wanted to bring up, or are we good to take a break?
Let's take a break.
Yep,
I'm worn out already.
Oh, yeah.
We've already discussed, 20 minutes worth?
Oh, yeah. We've been going already 20 minutes. So let's take a quick break, and we'll be back with The Runaway Bride.
Woo-hoo.
Hey, you know how you don't have any friends? It's fine.
The Flopcast will be your friend.
Your weird podcast friend.
Join us on the Flopcast every week for a silly conversation about cartoons, music,
comic books,
chickens,
and obscure 80s pop culture trivia that no one,
literally no one,
could possibly care about.
Find us at flopcast.net
and on the ESO network.
It'll be our little secret.
Who are you? I shall descend upon this earth. You shouldn't even exist.
On your reverse or war for Bane or something.
Now! Prepare your best medicines, Dr. Man.
Get me to the church!
Donna!
Am I safe?
I'm not about to lose someone else.
It's Christmas.
This planet shall be scorched!
Welcome back. Let's go back now to the year 2006. Matter of fact, Christmas 2006. God, I feel old. This is 16 years old, folks.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it feels like I just watched this yesterday. And it's craziness. It's 16 years old, and we got introduced, of course, to Donna Noble, Catherine Tate. And it was interesting. Well, you technically got introduced to her at the end of the last season, Doctor Who, because she, in the very final scene, after the Doctor destroys a supernova or something like that to use it so he could see Rose in the alternate dimension, Donna shows up, and the story picks up from here, and you actually get to see it opens with her wedding ceremony. And as she's walking down the aisle, she's full of emotions, and then she starts glowing. And boom, she's in the TARDIS. And
I believe this is the first instance where 10, and it's relevant to today, actually, because, or, at least current times, because I think it's the first time that David Tennant has that, sort of something happens in the TARDIS at the very end, and he just goes, what? And then it ends. Like there's a cliffhanger at the end, of the season, which goes to the Christmas episode, which I've always appreciated those.
Yeah, those are always a nice touch.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was a lot of fun. This wasn't the one. I think it was before the. No, it's the end of next season when they do the little short with Peter Davison between,
right,
and everything, and then the TARDIS, and then the Titanic comes through the wall of the TARDIS.
Time crash.
Yeah. But it was pretty amazing having this story. I had only seen this one once because that's how much I disliked Donna in this episode and everything. And so watching it again this time, I wanted to see if my opinion had changed, because I really, like I had mentioned earlier, I really like Donna. She's one of my favorite new companions of Doctor Who. And I think her and Tennant was some of my favorite eras of Doctor Who. And so I wanted to see if I was wrong and that she was any better in this. Still didn't like her in it, but it not. I didn't hate her like I did last time.
Yeah,
it's a horrible. It's a horrible introduction. I mean, to a character. I mean, Catherine Tate is great, but if you don't know Catherine Tate, if this is your first introduction to her, and for a lot of people in America, it was. For me, it was. I mean, she spends the first act, the first third, right? She spends it yelling, constantly yelling, and not in a pleasant way at all. I mean, she's really obnoxious and horrible. And it takes a while for that to really, sort of for her to do anything else. It's not until the very end where you see another side of her. And by then, I think the damage is already done. Like when he asks her at the end, to come aboard with her, like, do you want to come? And she says no. And I'm like, thank God. Like, I just was like, this is, I was not, I was like you, Mike. When I saw it, I was not a fan.
See, I actually didn't feel that way. For me, I mean, I did feel that way the first time I saw it. But this time around, and probably because I've seen Donna in other ways since then, so it's hard to pretend like you're only seeing it for the first time again. But I started to notice, more nuance. I mean, she still had good chemistry. I enjoyed this episode more than I thought I was going to. I mean, I'm not saying it's perfect, but she still had good chemistry with the Doctor. You could see the beginnings of it, at least. And you could understand her point of view more, because, I mean, you have to remember, she has no idea what's going on. She's just been thrust into this situation that is just so totally alien to her. And she has nothing to base it on. And, Donna's way of dealing with fear is to become strident, is to start, challenge and yell, and because she's scared and she doesn't understand what's going on. And it's so totally out of her purview. And so I could, at least looking back on it, I could understand her character more and her point of view. In fact, I could live with it until they got to the Ragnos. I thought the person playing the Ragnos overacted to such an extreme.
Oh my God, yes.
It just was almost unwatchable.
See, I'm the opposite.
The worst part of the episode.
I love the fact that she dialed it up to like 44, like out of 10. Like I was like, Sarah Parrish is just really like just going all for it. And so is everybody else in this too. I mean, Catherine Tate is on a level of like, she might not be at 44, but she's like at 40, at least in the first act of it. I mean, she's constantly yelling, and she's just, I don't misunderstand me. After watching it the first time that I ever saw it, I didn't like Catherine Tate because it was the first time I'd ever seen her. Now I know Catherine Tate better through not only her year or her experience as a companion, but also her comedy and her other stuff that she's done. And now I watch her and I appreciate what she's doing, but I still don't like Donna Noble as a character, at least in this, because she doesn't have much that's redeemable.
I almost felt bad for her.
She doesn't add anything. I feel bad for it sometimes, but but she doesn't really do anything that really is helpful at all.
I was surprised because I had always assumed after I watched it the first time that Wilf was part of this, but he's nowhere to be seen.
Oh yeah, he doesn't show up. Yeah, her father dies, and that's when he shows up.
Exactly.
Because when we see her again, her father has died.
Exactly.
That was a weird thing for me too, because I had forgotten all that too. I'd forgotten that she had, they had a father character, and that unfortunately he passed away after this, and that they weren't able to So they replaced it. I mean, that's the only reason we got Wilf, really.
Mm-hmm.
See, I had a lot of sympathy for her because, I mean, she disappears from her wedding and nobody cares.
No, that's what I was going with it. She disappeared right from the middle of the wedding, and they go ahead and have the frippin' reception still, and everyone's partying and dancing and having a great time. Even the groom.
Make it pretty clear though. They make it pretty clear though that she's not a great person. I mean, I think we feel for her in some ways that everybody's rude to her, but on the other hand, she has done nothing at this point in her life to warrant like any other sympathy. I mean, really. I mean, I'm not saying that she deserved any of this, but I mean, she's not a good person. I mean, she pretty much and she lies to the doctor about how the wedding happened. The fact that she basically had to just pester this guy until he finally said yes. And, everything that everybody else is telling us about her is that she's just very small-minded, very petty, very interested in, she's very normal in a lot of ways, but she's not very interested in seeing what else is out there. It's not until this experience that really opens her eyes.
Yeah, but I would argue she doesn't even understand she has that option. I mean, this is somebody who's been trapped. And, I think we're having a difference of opinion because we're seeing it from the point of view of a man and a woman. And I can see how women get trapped in these gender roles and are kind of forced to become a kind of person that, is very isolated, is very insulated, is very superficial because they are not allowed to become more than that. And the doctor gives her permission to do that, but she doesn't. She's afraid to take it. She doesn't even understand she can take it because she's just never been given that option before. And it's one of the reasons why I love Donna as a companion in the fourth season, because she's allowed to bloom.
And she does. She grows even from the very first episode that, Partners in Crime.
When she's given the opportunity to be more than what she is now, well, then she takes it. She becomes more than what she is now. But she doesn't, to her, she's been told all her life the be all and end all is to get married, and you're worthless unless you get married.
Well, look who her mother was, though. Look who her mother was.
Yeah, she's
tearing her down at every scene. Even it started in this.
She's absolutely desperate because she feels so small.
I think a lot of that is stuff that, that you might, that none of that is in this. Like, we find that out later about her mom and how the pressure is, but it's not, but it's not in this.
Well, no, her
mom is a royal.
In this.
Her mom's a royal.
I think her mother's pressure is absolutely in this.
Well, no, she's not. I'm not saying her mother's a nice person and everything, but then again, Rose's wasn't either, right?
Oh,
so
no, Donna's mom makes Jackie look like a walk in the park.
I'll grant you, I'll grant you that Donna's character, because she's a woman, has a lot of things that are not going for her, like almost all women out there. So I'll give you that. But don't tell me that there's not times where doesn't have any agency, because the doctor makes it a point several times, like, there are things happening in the world. There are things happening in the sky that you're not paying attention to. Why? Because you just don't care.
Right. Oh, I must have been in Spain that week or something.
Yeah, she's too busy looking at the tabloids to look instead of looking up at the sky to see what's going on. She doesn't really care.
I'll agree with you there. She's a flawed character, which is one of the reasons that makes her more interesting as when we get to see more of her in the fourth season. Because she is a flawed character. You're right. She's very superficial. She's selfish. She's got a lot of problems. I'm not disputing that.
She has to take some responsibility for that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not disputing that.
Oh no, neither of us.
I'm just saying that I can understand where her characters. I don't condone it, but I can understand why her character is the way it is. Now, if she had stayed that way, then yes, she would have made a horrible companion.
Yes, yeah.
Because we would have wanted to see that.
I mean, we do see that it's opened her. I mean, obviously, when she opens the TARDIS doors, and she's forced to see what she sees, that the space. That's where I think the first time that I'm like, okay, she's more than just a barking machine. Like there's more to her than just that. She's able to like actually process things. And then the next time that she's in the TARDIS and she opens the doors and they're looking at the creation of the Earth and everything, that's a really profound moment. Even she like has to, admit that that's a profound moment, even though with everything that's going on with her, and she's so wrapped up in what's going on with her, suddenly she realizes that how small that stuff is in comparison to things. And I think that's the beginning of it. That's the beginning of the building blocks that we get later on. But they weren't there substantially enough for me at that point to like say, yeah, sign me up for Donna for a season. I was really nervous when she was announced to come back. Like I was like, oh my God, we're going to get like this barking companion again. And they really toned her down and changed her a lot, actually, which they had to do because this character would not have been great, I don't think.
No, I agree with you that if she had stayed the way she is portrayed here, then yes, it would have been horrible to watch that for a whole season. Yeah. But luckily, that's not what happened. However, I can see, and yeah, it's all, I mean, the point of view of looking at this for the first time and not knowing where they were going to take it, and then them announcing it, total nerves. I can absolutely understand that because, I wouldn't have wanted to watch this through a whole season either. So I'm so grateful that they took this character and decided to let her grow, because that was awesome to watch, fascinating to watch.
But when we saw it the first time, we thought she was just a one and done character,
right?
And so, and it was interesting when the TARDIS landed on Earth and came back after the Doctor rescued her from the car chase, which was just awesome.
I actually love that scene.
Oh, I thought it was awesome. And the kids watching in the rear, the back of the car. It was just awesome. And that was cool. And it's like, when I saw it the first time, I loved it because at the time William was 7. And so, him and I were like cheering when we saw that, he saved and it's like, and now, watching it, Judy and I were watching it on Saturday night. And when we watched it and we both looked at it, it's like, how are you going to explain it to your insurance company that your car got hit by a flying police box?
By a TARDIS.
Yeah. By a police box, on the M5 or something, So I thought that was pretty awesome. And there was just some great scenes, but I loved it when they landed. It was the same area. It was like where they ended the Christmas special before, where the Doctor had landed in in that warehouse district with Harriet Jones and everything, and they he whispered to her, "Doesn't she look tired?" And it was just interesting that they landed in the same spot, and he had no idea where they were, of course. So
yes, that's very Doctor Who. I mean,
using the same spots and everything. I thought it was interesting, and none of the other casts, really, wowed me in this or anything. Donna's mom, was like, and even the gentleman who played the groom, the guy who was going to marry Donna. It's like when he turned bad and he became the mustache twisting villain and everything. And, ha ha ha, it was me all along. I was pouring this stuff in your coffee and everything. And it's just like, talk about overacting.
I mean,
there.
It's a little hard to feel sorry for him. I mean, yes, she pestered him, but he totally used her. So,
One of the things that I noticed here too, and I certainly don't mean to be insensitive, but I was like, wow, I would have known this at the time because it only happened. This is only the second time it happened, but it happens again in New Who, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of like female white companions that are paired up with young black men, like in New Who, and I'm like, that's very interesting.
Very specific.
Yeah, very specific.
Dynamic.
Because we see that with Rose beforehand, and then Donna, and then Clara.
True.
Later on,
that's very true.
And I'm like, so it's just really interesting dynamic. It's just like, okay.
No,
I'm not saying anything plus or minus about it. I just noticed it. I was like, wow, that seems to be a recurring thing in New Who. Yeah. Well, I mean, and the fact that, I think that, with New Who, traditionally they've a lot of times gone with a white female companion.
Yeah.
So I mean that that's there too, and it's not, I didn't see anything like negative about it or whatever. It's just something I noticed. Although I'd take, as bad as Lance is, I'd take him over Mickey any day of the week.
Oh, geez. Who wants either one of them? They're both pretty worthless.
Exactly. No, I did not feel bad for him
Lance
when he fell down to the center of the earth. And, he fell way too quickly, truthfully. Wouldn't he have technically drowned when all the water just came down?
Well, he was eaten first.
Well, no, because if he...
No, he fell to the center of the earth and then was eaten.
Oh,
yeah, but he had a head start before the water.
Yeah, but if he fell down to the center of the earth, he would not have fallen in like 5 minutes all the way down there.
Or 5 seconds,
yeah.
Sure, but he still would have gotten there before the water. It's physics. You drop something first and then it gets to the bottom before the water does. Like, it's just like,
Yeah, but that all happened way too quickly anyway. So it's Doctor Who, Wibbly Wobbly,
Yeah, I could just hand wave that away.
Look, like a lot of Doctor Who, if you think about it hard, and you don't even have to think too hard about it, like the plot in this makes, it's not connected very well at all. The reason why Donna pops up in the TARDIS is, they have to run rings around trying to figure out a way to actually incorporate that into anything. Putting in Torchwood is just kind of a thing that they do. It doesn't really add up to anything. The whole plot of what the Rachnos are doing is just insane. It doesn't really make any sense at all. I think really, for me, the first act of this, and the retread of the robots, the Santa robots, and the tree just didn't do anything for me either.
At least it wasn't a spinning tree.
Oh God,
no, but it wasn't that much better.
The ornaments were at least the exploding ornaments were at least slightly better.
With these exploding ornaments that, oh my God, they don't want to, they won't mean to hurt anybody. Really? Like, I just was like, and I don't know, like the fact that they had the trees and planned out to begin with to be able to get control over it just didn't make any sense. It's just, there's a lot in this that I just, you just bang your head and go, whatever. I think the whole point of this, though, to me, the saving grace of this is the third act, where we really get to see the Doctor reacting to so much stuff that's going on with him. And it's something that we don't usually see from the Doctor until David Tennant's era, where we really see that he wears his emotions on his sleeve. And what he's going through with Rose throughout the whole thing, and then, how he reacts to the Empress. He says he gives her a chance, but it's not really an honest chance.
Not much of one.
Yeah. No, because she doesn't even know who he is. It's not until she rejects him, his offer, that he actually says, now I'll tell you who I am. It's like, no, she didn't have all the information, man.
It's like, that's just not fair, dude. Come on.
Yeah. And, it is and he's really scary and brutal in the third act. I mean, they film him like a villain.
Oh, the doctor? Yeah. Very dark.
Yeah. Well, I think they're really trying to hammer the point that he needs somebody to be traveling with him to tell him to stop.
This is the first time that's really a thing, right? That the doctor needs somebody?
Yeah.
That's why he doesn't travel alone?
I think it is. I mean, it becomes a real theme from here on out.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think it is maybe the first time that we really get that hammered home, that how dangerous he is without somebody to kind of hold him back.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's a good way to put it, actually. You don't really think about it, but it's very true that, and they actually revisited this in Turn Left.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because Donna wasn't there. The doctor, went even further, and he ended up dying for it.
I mean, you could argue that from the Ragnos's point of view, I mean, she had a point. She was trying to save her entire species.
Right.
She's trying to save her children. She's the last one. She's just trying to survive. Now, I mean, he says, I'll relocate you to a planet with, where you can live out your lives. But how does she know to trust him?
Yeah, because like I said, she doesn't even know who he is at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's playing dirty pool there for sure. And because I don't think he's interested in saving them, really. I mean, not really. Because he wouldn't even need to ask her if he really wanted to save them. He would just scoop them up and take them, right? Like he could do that. That's within his power. But yeah. And it's interesting too, because once she does find out he's a Time Lord, or he's from Gallifrey, then I never noticed this before, but then doesn't she utter something like, no, not Time Lords, they kill us, right? They kill Ragnar. Like it's almost like there's a history there that we don't know about, that between the Gallifreyans and the Ragnos.
Yeah, they mention that, but they don't go into it.
They don't go into much detail
to any extent.
But it is a weird thing to throw out there.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know her backstory. Maybe the Ragnos have been taking over planets and destroying them for millennia. Who knows? But they don't tell us that. So how do we know?
Well, I mean, Ten does say that, when he recognizes what she is, he's like, they eat planets and they do this and that and the other thing. And Donna's like, you mean they eat people? That kind of thing. And so we do know that he's familiar with them and they are bad.
Yes.
So I guess they're like the insects, the pests of the universe that the Gallifreyans have to get the exterminator.
They have to swat them, basically.
Yeah, they have to swat them. We do see Ragnos later, right? Like we do see them in, is it the 12th Doctor's run? Is that right?
Yeah, but it's not the Ragnos. They just look like the Ragnos.
Yeah, they look like them.
They're not specifically the Ragnos. I don't know why they made them look so much like them.
Right, but also in the 13th Doctor, in the Tesla episode, they had the scorpion people. At first, we thought,
and they look just like them.
They also look just like them. It's almost like, oh, we have some extra makeup here. Let's just do this.
I think it's a cool look. I think she looks great. I mean, certainly if I was, I don't know if they've ever made a figure of her, but she would be pretty cool to have out there. Yeah. Like she really looks cool. I think the makeup and everything is really well done on the design of her.
When they did the action
but I still
figures,
think she was overacting so much that.
I concur that she was overacting way much, but at that point, I really just enjoyed it because everybody else was kind of dialed too far down.
Well, it was interesting, too, because, they did all the jumps and everything when they first introduced her, all the different camera angles of her to make it all look all jumpy. And it's like, oh, she's just teleporting in or something. And I was just like, no, it's just them trying to be clever. So, but it was.
Vera Lynn is not my favorite director. He was the director of this episode, and he's directed other episodes too.
Right.
I mean, he's not a horrible director, but I think he could have done a better job in the Ragnos scenes.
Yeah. Well, and then the whole thing is not well done.
Did you guys notice when the military showed up that it was the first reference to Saxton.
Oh, I did notice that. Yes.
Yeah.
And I hadn't noticed it the first time because you didn't know what that was.
What it meant. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And so I just found that interesting that it was like, you got permission from, whatever Saxton, Mr. Saxton, and to go forward. And it was just like, Saxton. Oh, I know where this is going. But they also referenced Torchwood in this too.
Oh, yeah. I think at this point we're led to believe that Torchwood is no more.
Correct. Because the series hadn't started yet.
And, they just kind of had that big
Battle of Canary Wharf.
Big headquarters were blown up. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. But Donna missed it also. It was okay.
Right.
Yeah, she had no
She was washing her hair.
Yeah, exactly.
she was reading the tabloids. She was watching the Kardashians.
That is funny. Well, so that's cool. Any final thoughts on this one before we go ahead and rate it?
Mary said something about it's great to have Murray Gold again, to listen to him and see his work on this again, and that's great. There's also they use Slade's "Merry Christmas, Everybody," and there's a song that Murray Gold created for this called "Love Don't Roam," which I love. It's performed by Neil Hannon, and it's just so infectious. I play it all the time.
Yep,
I'm voting for Murray Gold to come back. That's for sure.
Oh gosh, yes, very, very much so. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. So let's go ahead and rate this. 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Mr. Mike, you get to go first.
I'm going to give this a 3. I think, if you compare it to other Christmas episodes, other introduction of companion episodes, whatever you want to, I think there's a lot in there that I don't care for, that is clunky and doesn't really work for me. But I do appreciate the third act in particular, especially where we get to see like the darkest side of the Doctor I think we've ever seen. And we have no idea that of stuff to come. This is just a prelude to how dark he can really get. And I think that's interesting. That was an interesting choice to make in this. And David is just outstanding all the way through, actually. And unfortunately, the clunkiness and the personification of Donna Noble here, I think is just a little bit left me to be desired.
Agreed. Mary.
I'm going to give this a 3.5. And I think that's probably higher than I would have given it on first viewing, because I think this is an episode that's really worth going back and watching after you've watched the RTD era, because you can see a lot of seeds of things that RTD was planting here and going forward. And it's actually kind of fascinating for me to watch the beginning of Donna Noble, knowing where she goes throughout the series. And so I think it's definitely worth going back to. I'm not sure it's such a great episode on first viewing because, Donna's not a likable character, and the Rachnos is way overacted, and it's not directed that well, and the story is a little iffy. But I mean, it's not horrible. It's still entertaining. But I think it's one of those things that you need to go back and watch just to appreciate what RTD was building up to.
Nope,
that's a good point.
That's a very good point.
Especially looking ahead to what he's going to be doing and bringing us to Doctor Who in the future. I mean, yes, you're right. He's not going back to classic series yet. I guess he's not comfortable doing that, or maybe he got an edict not to do that yet. But you can tell that he's already creating this world. He's pulling stuff from the past couple seasons, as well as he's laying seeds for the next, 3 or 4 seasons, right? He's there's stuff in here that has implications for another two seasons from now, I think, and maybe 3. And so he's definitely not just thinking of episode by episode. He's building something, and he's continuing to build something, which is pretty awesome, actually.
Agreed. All right, I'm going to agree with Mary on this one. I'm going to give this one a 3.5. If you would have, asked me when the episode actually first started and first aired, I probably would have given it a 2.5. That's how much I disliked Donna at the time. Do I think this episode aged well? No, I don't think it has aged all that well. The chemistry between David and, of course, Donna, loved. It was, you could already start seeing it building in this, especially towards the end. And especially like when she asked him to dinner and everything, do you want to come in and celebrate with us? And, it was, you could feel there was something there already. I see it more now because we know what's to come at this time. And, I don't know if they already had the plan that she was going to be back in a year, or what was the deal that, Martha just a one and done type character? You don't know. And everything.
It's a good question. I think I've heard different
I don't think
things.
they did have the plan, because I think he wrote in his book that he had actually written that season, the fourth season, for a different companion.
Yes,
then
that's true.
Then it turned out that Catherine Tate was available, and so they decided to ask her to come back.
Interesting.
But I will agree with you, Mike, that even though I didn't really care for Donna as a character, like I said, I appreciate Tate's performance in this to an extent,
Catherine
and
was
awesome.
Yeah.
I think that you're right. She and Tennant have chemistry. And for me, it was really like that scene where they're on the roof together, after the chase. That's when I really noticed, like, okay, these two have something. It is working to some extent. And going forward, it was less annoying.
Well, yeah, exactly. I agree with that. That's a good way to put it, actually. And it's interesting now, having the season with her as the companion now makes my look on this completely different than I did if she was just a one and done character, because I was like, good riddance to her the first time. And,
Oh, yeah.
And so, but now it's like, oh, this is Donna. It's awesome. And so, and we're going to be getting more Donna. So I'll be very curious to see what's going to be with that. So let's wait and see. But we definitely would love to hear from you guys at home. What did you guys think of it? Did you like it? Did you not? What was your reaction the first time you saw it and compared to seeing it today? I'd be very curious to hear that. So definitely write us feedback@ourstationwho.com. All right, folks, that is going to wrap it up. But before we do, I do have a little bit of sad news that I need to talk to you guys about. We lost one of our own recently, and we brought this up on our Station One last night. A friend of the show, David Keep, passed away this last week. A lot of people know him as Professor Dave. He had another podcast called Professor Dave's Ark in Space, which he did with his wife, Lilibet. And basically, both him and his wife did the show for many, many years, and they were very generous with their time. They used to appear on our Station One quite a bit. They also appeared on this program at the very beginning. And in the recent years, Dave has, and I don't think Elizabeth would mind me saying this, that, Dave had developed a very bad heart, and he had, went into the hospital because he had another heart attack, and they basically tried all they could, but they couldn't basically save him. But he went out on his own terms. He went and was able to say goodbye to everybody, and he went very peacefully. Our thoughts go out to Elizabeth and her family and Dave's family, and thank you for all they did for us, and hopefully, God willing, he's in a better place. And be thankful, folks, for what you have. That's all you need to say, because you never know when it could be taken from you. And I'm not trying to bring anybody down. I'm not trying to do it, but it means a lot when we lose one of our own, and especially somebody who was very crucial in the beginnings of ESO and Earth Station One and Earth Station Who. So thank you, David, for what you did to us. You can find older episodes of Professor Dave's Ark in Space anywhere fine podcasts are found. Definitely check it out.
Absolutely.
With that being said, we will be back again in 2 weeks. We are going to be looking at the next holiday special, folks. That's right. Get used to these. We're going to be talking to those pretty much through the rest of the year. So we are going to be looking, of course, at Voyage of the Damned, when the Doctor goes on the Titanic. That's right, folks. It should be a
He's
ton of fun.
He's the king of the world.
Oh, God. I forgot about those angels they had on those shows and everything. Oh, God. It's pretty fun. So definitely join us then. We definitely would love to hear from you guys. As we said, please subscribe if you get a chance. We would really appreciate it. Feedback is always welcome. And you know what? Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. We would just appreciate you guys beyond belief. So until then, on behalf of myself, Mike Faber, let's say thank you to Ms. Mary Ogle.
Oh, thank you. It's really fun talking about Doctor Who every time.
Any thing you want to shout about? Any of your websites or anything?
Well, you can find me at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Awesome. And thank you, of course, Mr. Mike. We made it through another one.
We did. And as always, it's my pleasure.
Thank you guys both for joining us. And we will see you guys here next time on Earth Station Who. Peace, and wish everybody good luck and love out there. We'll see you soon. Peace.
God knows we need it.
Oh, God, yes. It's election day here.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a bi-weekly pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talent from across the universe. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individual and are used for entertainment value alone. You subscribe to our podcast up on iTunes, Stitcher, or follow our blog at www.esopodcast.com. You can also follow us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. If you enjoyed the show, please leave feedback up on iTunes.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.